We're getting there.
All right, while we reboot the machine, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Grace Lee. My co-panelists are Professor Anna Shavers, Professor Trotter Hardy, and Professor Marjorie McDiarmid. Just out of curiosity, how many of you have pilots? Okay. How many of you have the Palm 3? Palm 5, Palm 7, and the handspring? Great.
Wow, one handspringer.
Well, we're going to have lots of different tips, software. This is just part of the problem in putting the presentation together is that this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are thousands of applications, and we hope we can give you some ideas for getting the most out of your Palm and continuing your education once you're finished. This presentation will be posted to the web, and for those of you who are in a real hurry, I've got all the URLs in a memo pad so I can beam it to you after the presentation. Are there any questions before we get started?
Think of it this, and this is a reach.
Okay.
Fine. Yeah.
Take a survey while we're waiting. How many people have actually beamed something from your palm to another palm? That's a fair amount. Is this tend to be business cards for real, or was it just an experiment to see if you could beam? How many have done it on a non-experimental basis because you were actually beaming your business card to another palm? Fewer. That's interesting.
Okay, we're going to talk about usage tips, software, hardware. We have a couple of keyboards and the PalmPix camera. We're going to briefly touch on going online. We'll talk about further resources, and then we'll take questions at the end. First thing you should do with the Palm is protect your screen. You'll notice that after a while the graffiti area gets a little bit scratched. There's a couple things you can do with it. Take a piece of Scotch magic tape and put it over the graffiti area. That's from David Koch's book, which we'll talk about later. You should also cover over the serial number, because if, God forbid, you got to call tech support, the first thing they want to know is what's your serial number, and it tends to rub off very easily. The other way of protecting your Palm are what are screen overlays. Probably the best known is the Concept Kitchen Right. It can either cover the whole screen. Some people like to cut off a portion and just cover the graffiti area. It does give you more traction. If you put it on the whole screen, it tends to cut down on the visibility a little bit, which is an issue, especially with the Palm 3s. Okay, next is protect your PDA.
I now have moved to the 5X, and I really like the hard case because I don't think it's going to get squashed anywhere. I use it because of the size and the hard case. I can even stick it in my little purse and carry it around with me. The other things, of course, you can use, I have my old Palm Pilot hard case that I bought once, which is really good for protecting it. Other people, I know I've seen lots of people around here with various other kind of cases. This is just a little cheap thing I found at, I think, Office Depot, but it had a pretty good sturdy back here. And the Palm 5 is so small it can slip right in this slot, which is designed for holding business cards, actually, but it can slip here, and it so adds protection. I do know people, in fact, one sitting right up there, whose screen was mashed in her purse once, so that's why I think it's good to protect it with some kind of a hard case.
Okay, saving battery power. Batteries are always an issue. I used to always carry a set when I had a 3. I now have a 3C. Two things you can do. When you go to preferences, you change your auto off after. I think the default is set to 2 minutes. You can change that to 1 minute. In the Palm 3C, it's as short as 30 seconds. Another thing you can do is you can turn your beam receive off. That's a big drainer of power. It can be turned off quickly again. Whenever you re-beam your business card, you'll be asked if you want to turn your beam receive on again. The other thing to do is keep your Palm out of the cradle unless you're hot sinking it. The cradle drains the battery even when the Palm is off. Okay, that's from Calvin Parker's fact about the Palm. You can find that on Palm Gear. Palm Gear is to the palm what FindLaw is to Internet Legal Research. It's an index site. It's a very good place for news, software, accessories. You can buy things there, and you can do a lot of research if you're thinking of buying a palm. Next thing is time.
You know, I had a Palm. I've had one for about 4 years, and not until recently did I realize that you could do this. But at least on the Palm 3, the date is always in the upper left corner in the calendar app, and if you just tap it, the time appears for a couple of seconds and then goes away. And I mean, it's amazing, a simple little thing, and I never knew it. So I see people pulling their palms out. Does anybody have one that it doesn't work on, or is it universal to all palms? Anyway, it's a great little thing that I'm happy to know myself.
Okay, next is you can shrink your day view. If you get tired of looking at all the times for the appointments, if you're in your date book, you go to Preferences, and you select your start time and end time to end at the same time. Can you see the screenshots at the back of the room? Okay, so once you do that, it only shows the appointments you're actually scheduled for. At this point, you wonder, how do you start your appointments? And this is Trotter's story.
Right, and this is another one I just learned recently. I was going to the vendor that I use for a datebook application, Pimlico software, and they had some tips, and this is one I didn't know. If the datebook is open and you start in the graffiti area in the number side and you just enter a number, it pops open the little dialogue for entering an appointment. Now, sometimes you can also just, of course, tap an appointment. If you know you're going to meet at 2 o'clock, you can just tap 2 and start filling it in, and I would tend to do that. But sometimes if the time you want isn't showing, or if you've collapsed your appointments or something, if you have a 10 o'clock appointment, you write 10 in the graffiti area, and it'll open up the appointment thing set for 10 o'clock. So it's in some instances, it's quite a quick way to get an appointment entered.
Okay, next is repeating events.
Oh, right, another Pimlico tip. I can't even remember this one, except I just came across it, and I thought, I bet some people would like to be able to schedule something on the second Tuesday of every June, but not know exactly how to do that. This is a way to do that kind of thing. There is a way to do it, and it's not completely obvious, it seems to me, but this, if you follow this little bit of advice, which is written in the presentation, obviously, it tells you how you can do that. So there's almost every possible kind of repeating event you can do one way or another, and this is sort of the hardest one I've run across, but it does work.
Another example of that is Thanksgiving, which is the fourth Thursday of the month.
Okay.
That's how you can use that. Okay, next is beaming. You all saw the commercial. That was our example of beaming. The nice thing about the Palm is that you can keep all your important information at hand, and if necessary, share it with colleagues or friends, etc. The most important thing you can do, as Trotter said before, is to create your business card. You do that by going into the address book, and you set up your business card by creating an entry for yourself. Once you've created the entry and put in your information, you tell the address book program that you want it to be the business card by tapping Menu and Record and select Business Card. At that point, a little Rolodex card will appear at the top, and then you can beam your business card by holding down the address book button for 2 seconds.
If I can interrupt 1 second, I tried to follow those directions, and on mine, it wasn't exactly that set of menu steps. It was very closely related, but if that exact thing doesn't work, there's something else very close to it, and I can't remember, but it was a slightly different combination, but I got it without much trouble.
There's also instructions on eHow about how to create your business card, which we looked at for the presentation. Okay, next is syncing the website.
This is one of mine, and I think I thought that was more important when I was thinking of it than it probably is. But there is a meta tag. A lot of people want to start syncing to websites and using Avant Go, which we'll talk about later, to go to websites. There's also a meta tag that some company or other is trying to push in HTML as part of the HTML, handheld friendly equals true or false, whatever. And what that means is, what you're supposed to do if it's handheld friendly is have all your tables variable in size and everything, so if it's on a small screen it will actually collapse appropriately instead of having a fixed table that's really wide, and other things like that that are supposed to make the site work better with handheld devices. Now, you won't normally see, if you're just going to a website, that tag because it's in the HTML, but I'm just simply letting you know it's something that's being pushed, it's being out there, and if you ever do want to look at the source of a web page, if you can see whether it'll be handheld friendly or not. But it's just something to be aware of, that these are websites that are beginning to use that so people can sync with the Palm and have it come out reasonably well.
Okay, phone lookup is a feature that came or was introduced with the Palm 3 series. This will paste the full name and phone number of a person listed in your address book into whatever program you're using. So you could start an entry in your date book or start a new memo. I hope you can see the screen. Over here, you would, in the date book, you select on options, select phone lookup. The next screen shows me a couple of phone numbers that I've already input. I could select one phone number, tap the add button, and then it shows up in your date book. Because I had selected the name Steve and then started phone lookup, it automatically put it in, so I've got the name showing up twice. Okay?
Are you going to do that with a graffiti tip? Because there's a graffiti option to do that.
Yes. The graffiti command is /L. Thanks for reminding me of that. Okay, graffiti tips.
Okay, these graffiti tips are really probably basic for most of you, but the main thing here is I think you need to find out shortcuts for some of the characters, which seem to be hard to make. And I've gotten these from a number of different places, some from some of the books we'll refer to you to later, and some of the sites. But these are ones that I've sort of picked out, but you can experiment. Sometimes when I'm sitting there in my palm and don't have anything to do, I just sort of start drawing characters and see what comes up, and some are easier to use. One that I particularly like, I guess is on the next slide, is the more graffiti tips, is the reverse V, because I had a hard time when I first started out with the V. And if you make it sort of in reverse, and then some of the others are using numbers on the left-hand side of your screen for some of the letters that make it easier. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but as we said, we'll have these up on the website so you can get them, and we'll give you references to where you can find more.
Okay. Another way to practice with graffiti is to install the giraffe game. For those of you who haven't used the install tool, that's found by starting the Palm desktop, clicking on install. The giraffe game is in the add-on subdirectory of your Palm directory. Basically, you're dropping letters and you blow them away by writing them, and you can change your level and add scores. Another thing you can do to improve your graffiti is to get a better stylus. And
when I get involved in something, I tend to be compulsive, so I have gotten lots of stylus, so I'll show you some of the ones that I have. And actually the one I like best, I left it over my bag, but I won't go get it. It's called the Dr. Grip, and some of you use Dr. Grip pens. They also have a Dr. Grip stylus. The downside of that is only a stylus. It's not also a pen combination. But this is one I got. It was called the Executive Model, and it's pretty, so I got it. And so it has a lot of multi-points, and what you do is you sort of turn it to you, and whichever one is facing you, that's what comes up, either a pen or a red pen or the stylus or a pencil. And I got this one at the Fisher Planner people. This one I just found at a pen store. I also collect fountain pens, so I found this one day, and the top pulls off, and there's a pen, and this is a stylus. This is one of those Rotarings, which is a small one. If you want something really little, it just sort of pulls out, and then there's your stylus there. And it was lonely, so I got a companion so I could have a pen that goes with it. So I got that. And then, of course, your regular stylus, you can always get refills for that. But there are a lot of different ones, like the cross pen that's there, the throttle, which is advertised on the Palm site. And I like them much better than the stylus that comes with the Palms.
The throttle is also important because it actually fits in the silo. It sticks out a little bit, but you can keep it with your palm. We also have a homegrown solution.
Yeah, the best possible stylus is one that you can make yourself. This is my own invention. And you start with a Radio Shack cordless phone antenna that you buy at Radio Shack, and it's got a little threaded end. And so then I got instructions on a website. You can do it yourself, 20 minutes, guaranteed. You cut off the plastic tip of a plastic palm stylus, heat the little threaded thing, and melt it on. That's it. And what that does for you, it fits. It happens if you get the model number that I've described. It fits in the pocket of your palm, so it goes right in. What it does is it gives you a little bit of heft, a little balance when you're writing, and that's the advantage of it. And it's really surprising what a difference it makes between writing like this and writing with a little bit of weight on the top. It makes a big difference. Plus, the best part about it is that you can tell your friends that you already have a wireless palm. You can and then when you finish, just kind of go.
That's what I thought, he had a wireless palm.
It's very impressive, but it actually works.
Okay, the next thing you can do is use shortcuts. Shortcuts are accessed by clicking on Applications, then Preference, and then on the drop-down menu on the right, you select Shortcuts. These are abbreviations which will automatically expand into longer phrases. The Palm comes with a number of shortcuts already pre-installed, such as VR for breakfast, DI for dinner, date stamps and time stamps. I use it for a number of phrases. We're going to talk about Palm Law later, where you can download a file full of legal shortcuts. The other thing you can do when entering a new shortcut to add a spacer after the expanded word, and that way you don't have to do it when you put it in.
One shortcut that I always use is when you're at conferences, people are always giving you websites. So I have shortcuts for www and com and all that stuff, and then you just do it and it's there. You don't have to worry about it. Right.
That's great. Okay, sync to a network file.
Yeah, this is a feature that's been in the Palm software for some time, but I think a lot of people don't know about it. If you, what it allows you to do is if you have a LAN, like in your law school, and you have a server somewhere, you can put a comma-delimited address book or set of addresses on the LAN server, and anybody can sync to that thing on the LAN server, and it's built in. You go to the Palm desktop, and I forget myself, but yeah, you go to the hot sync thing, choose file link, and then what that does is it runs you through a little tiny wizard that you point to the location on your network and the file name where that comma delimited list is kept, and it will every time you hot sync, it will go across the network and see if that file has been updated or changed, and if it has, it'll install it into your address book in its own category. So what we do at our law school, as we have a list of all employees, names, addresses, email addresses, and stuff. And every time we change that, we write that out to this comma-delimited file on the network server, and then anyone who has a Palm, the next time they hot sync, it will go out, find that, and it's a category. It's a category in the Palm called Law School, and it will just give you an updated address thing. And it's been in the system for a long time, but I don't think many people realize you can do it. You can also do it with memo pad stuff. We don't happen to use it for that. But it's really quite handy if you have a bunch of people with Palms, and it's quite automatic. Once they set up that thing, it always looks when they hot sync to see if it's changed, and then it only updates it if it has changed. So it's a useful feature.
Okay, time for your to-do items. This is a screenshot of the Palm desktop. You'll notice you've got the date book on this side, and then on your right, I've got some of my to-do items in the business category. You can basically take an item and drag and drop it to the calendar. All right. The other thing is if you can change your views in week view or month view, and you can drag and drop appointments in those views also. Next thing you can do is freeing up memory. We all come up against memory constraints at some point. We put on too much software. One of the things you can do is in your date book, you select record, and then you can purge your appointments. You do have the option of selecting how far back you want to keep your appointments. So here I've got 1 month. You also can save a copy of those appointments to the archive file on the PC. And if you wanted to look at them, you would go in your desktop back to File and then open Archive, and you could see all your old purged appointments and all your completed to-dos. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about software applications. First up are text readers. When the Palm first came out, people started immediately potching you with it, developing new applications because the core code was readily available. So we have a couple of text readers that Marjorie's going to talk about.
Right. These are applications that, as Grace indicates, are not built into your Palm, but are readily available through a variety of sources we'll give you at the end. And one of the most useful ones for us is, because we're a text-dominated profession, are text readers. I listed a couple of the most common ones up there, Portus, Teal, and the most recent addition to the field, and the one that's gotten the most play recently, is DataViz. What they do is enable you to take any content and put it into your Palm. And lots of content has already been done for you. This is the federal rules of evidence. Who would have thunk it? Right? Who would think that there would be a big enough market for somebody to have but they did. The Constitution, the rules of civil procedure, in a lot of cases your state codes, if you want to carry your state code around, are available. You can also take any word processing document and turn it into a Palm text file, so that if somebody hasn't gotten around to putting your favorite piece of data, you can handle that. Let's go to the next one. there are two ways to access material. One is to use the bookmark function, which is built into the readers. And basically, people who have done this for you, produce text files for you, have already put in bookmarks, or if you're doing it yourself, you can use your word processor to put in a bookmark, which will then be recognized by the conversion software. And this enables you, I mean, here obviously it's the various rules of evidence, enables you to go to specific sections, chapter headings, whatever, in the document. Let's do the next one. Here we're going to go to Rule 601, and voila, magic 601, okay? In addition to that, you can harness the power of the PALM find function, which is a built-in function of the PALM, to find text, basically to do full text searching on whatever documents you've got, whether they're documents that are PALM application documents or whether they're these add-ons, like the text readers. Let's do the next one. And here, let's assume that I have temporary amnesia and have forgotten that authenticity is in the 900 series of the federal rules, so I enter authentic and go ahead and search, and it's popped up the two documents on my PALM that have the word authentic in them, and by pressing on the one I want, it'll go to the, so it's a standard full text searching. I was really fascinated to find that it had the capacity to take foreign programs and do this, so I thought that was a cute little thing.
The other thing to remember is the doc programs came about because you can only put about 4,000 K into the memo pad. Files also installed in doc format are compressed down from the native file. Okay,
actually, Marjorie reminded me of another use for the PALM telescopic stylus. Use that again. Yeah, so I hadn't thought of that. Thank you. I've gone through a bunch of these document readers from the beginning. The most popular one is called Doc, and it's a standard format. This one came out about a year or so ago called iSilo. I think it's supposed to be information silo, or whatever. I think it's kind of an odd name. But anyway, it's different from the document reader that Marjorie was talking about in that it allows you to do hypertext. It also does different fonts and faces and stuff like that. And then it comes with converters for HTML files. And if you set it up, it's the right way, and I've got it set up this way. If I have an HTML file on my computer, so if I've either downloaded it from the web typically or have an HTML file, I can right-click on that file name with my mouse in Windows and then select the Send To command, and then I've got the document converter, the iSilo converter on that menu. So I right-click, Send To, iSilo converter, and then it converts it to its own format. It preserves the links and the jumps and all that stuff. It does as much of the formatting as it can. It does italics and boldface, right and left justification, and it does horizontal rules, basic stuff. And then it puts it in the install directory. So the next time I hot sync, that HTML document is in my PALM with all the links and stuff preserved. And so I've actually put a good part of the Copyright Act in iSilo format, and I've got all the definitions in iSilo format, and then I've got a table of contents with each word that's defined in the Act as a clickable link, and you can just jump to it. So it's an alternative to the bookmark approach, but it's a hypertext thing. So I think it's one of the best of the document readers. It will also read documents that are in the doc format, which is the first text standard. So it will handle existing stuff, but it will also let you do the hypertext stuff. So I think it's a very nice package.
Okay, another form of document reader is Avant Go.
With Avant Go, I think most of the PALMs that you get now actually come with that software, but you can go to this website, and I think it's a really nice service because you can get like today's news, you hot sync in the morning, take it along with you and read the paper or whatever. It's mainly headlines and little short stories from the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, but it has a lot of other uses at Avant Go. For example, when I'm going to a city and I need directions, I go to MapQuest, get a map. You can do the map as well as the written directions. check on MapQuest that you want to hot sync it, and then with your channels on Avant Go, when you hot sync, it's going to download that map and those directions. And when you go to Avant Go, you can find other things like movies, restaurants, sports. I don't check those, but somebody wants sports scores. Track your stocks. All these kinds of things are right there on Avant Go, and you'll have to have, of course, if you don't want to take your computer with you, you can also have your modem or a wireless connection and do a direct connect to Avant Go and get the same information. So I find that really handy.
This is a free service. There are a number of pre-formatted, what they call channels. So if you can go to the website, set up your account, select many channels. It also has the option of putting in a URL from any web page and creating a channel that way.
Can I say something about Avant Go? Yeah, it's not obvious how to do this, but Avant Go has a feature where you can have on your palm a form, a hypertext form. For example, one of the things they built in is this, I think it's MapQuest, one of the mapping places that'll do maps. You can have on your palm a form, and you can fill in an address on that city and so forth, and the next time you hot sync, that form request goes up to Avant Go, goes over to MapQuest or whatever it is. They find the map and the directions for that address and then download them back to your palm. So it's a kind of a cute feature. I haven't used it all that much, and it's not as intuitive as it might be, but it is there. And they have, some other places have provided that as well as mapping. I forget what else, but there's several websites that now have that feature designed for Avant Go. So you fill out the form. Next time you hot sync, the information comes back to you.
Okay, next is Backup Buddy. This is a program that resides on your laptop computer. It basically backs up everything on your palm, including third-party programs, databases, unsaved preferences. Usually if you've got a problem and you call Palm Tech Support, one of the things they tell you to do is a soft reset. If that doesn't work, they tell you to do a hard reset, and naturally you lose all your data. By using this program, you can save everything, put your palm back in the cradle, and it restores it. This is the status screen on the right. On the left is the configuration program, so you can select which programs you don't necessarily want backed up. So for example, I've got the Zagat's database, and the file for New York is really big, and I don't need that backed up every single time. So you can customize your backup appropriately. Next is BugMe.
Yeah, a lot of times I like to use the palm for a quick reminder. I need 10 minutes from now or half an hour from now. It might be parking meter kind of things, just a quick reminder. You can obviously do that in the date book, although I find it's just a little bit tedious to open the date book, enter an appointment, set the alarm, and so forth. There is a program called BugMe. I think there's one or two others, but BugMe is the one that's been around longest. It's just a quick and easy way to set an alarm. And you handwrite, like a drawing program, what it is you want to do, which turns out to be quite convenient. You just write on the screen, call Joe, parking meter, a time up, whatever, and then a pop-up list. You set the timer, and it's quite fast, and it's I actually find it pretty handy for that sort of thing.
Another Datebook related program is Datebook 4, which has also been referred to as Datebook on steroids.
Does that mean?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. This is the best. This is the thing I use all the time. It's an add-on to the existing Datebook application. It uses the Datebook database, so anything you have in there already is automatically part of Datebook 4. But it adds a bunch of features, including some different views of your information, the ability to attach an icon. It has its own little set of icons of all sorts of little things. You can put an icon on an event, and when you look in the monthly view, the icon will show up, and you can actually plan stuff from a monthly view. I mean, I use a suitcase icon for when I'm going to be on the road, and I bring up a month, and you can see what days you're going to be gone, what days you're not, and it's extremely useful. It's a good enough package that I think the Handspring people actually licensed it. And it's the built-in Datebook application for the Handspring visor. So I mean, it's that good, but you can get it on the palm as an add-on. It's not very expensive, and it's the most useful thing that I have in my palm.
Do you want to talk about floating appointments?
Yeah, you can. One of the things you can do with this is you can create essentially a to-do item through the Datebook, and you can say, I want this to float, and it'll show up every day at the top of your Datebook with a little checkbox unchecked until you do it, and then you check it from the Datebook, and then it no longer appears each day. So it's a kind of add-on to the to-do list, but it's integrated with the Datebook, and it's also very handy.
Okay, next is Documents to Go.
Well, in a way, this is sort of repeated something that Marjorie said, just picking out one of those programs. That's the one I use, Documents to Go, and I found it works really well both with WordPerfect and Word documents. You have a document, you want to take it with you and do some editing or work on it, or at least, have it with you. The main thing is, and it seems to handle those files really well, and so that's the one I use.
Okay, next is Fire Viewer. This was originally called Image Viewer. It lets you take images and put them on your palm. I've got subway maps for a couple different cities. There's also a program called Fire Converter, which lets you take a GIF or a JPEG file and convert it into Fire Viewer format and upload it to your palm. So this is the Manhattan subway map over here. Next is Hackmaster. This is a program which manages system patches. When the Pilot 1000 came out, people immediately started tinkering with how could you make the interface better, and Hackmaster came about. Hackmaster manages your patches, as I said before. It costs $5 to register, and a number of hacks exist. For example, Menu Hack saved you the trouble of having to tap the menu button. In the earlier palms, you just tap where the time would be, and you'd get your drop-down menu. Case Toggle Hack would let you switch words into uppercase or lowercase. Clip Hack let you paste into your clipboard blocks of text more than 150 words. Find Hack is an improvement on the Palm's find command, because the native find doesn't let you use wildcards or search for parts of words, and that lets you do that. Middle Caps Hack saves you the trouble of using that upward stroke to either do a capitalized letter or lock your caps. What you do is, in the graffiti area between the letters and numbers, you write the letter and it makes it capitalized. Okay? Next is Omni Remote.
Yeah, I call this is the thing. If you have the IR feature on your palm, this will let you control your TV or your CD or whatever from the IR feature.
For Furbies.
Huh? Oh, Furbies control that as well? I haven't tried it, but I'm sure it'll do anything. The one thing I'd probably change is I said it's a gimmick but cute. Actually, I'd probably say now it's a useless gimmick but cute, because I've in fact never really done it. But it's fun, and it's not that expensive, and you design your own button control panel. What you're seeing here is not the built-in one. This is one that I designed for my stuff. I mean, it actually is my TV, my stereo, my CD. And you can have multiple screens with different sets of buttons and so forth. And if your palm doesn't shoot the IR beam far enough, you can get add-on hardware modules that increase the IR power by like a factor of 10 or 20, so that you can really sit across the room and control your TV from your palm. And this is something, my wife just thinks, it's great, Johnny. Yeah, control. But anyway, it's cute. It's cute. It's really a lot of fun. So I encourage you, if you like to play around with gadgets, to just try it. It's clever.
Okay, next is Palm Law.
This is one of the sites that I found that I thought is really great. For example, Marjorie mentioned you can take the federal rules with you or whatever. This is a place where you can go and find all that kind of stuff to take with you. And as you can see, one of the things that, could you point the laser to, it brought up almost immediately the Microsoft decision, for example. So, you can find things like that. It really puts handy things there, and you can go there and get many things that we might be interested in. And just most of them, of course, are going to require a dock reader, but you can load them down. It also gives you some little hints, because at the bottom, for example, it gives you some shortcuts that are particularly interesting for people in law. So I find that as a really handy site.
Okay, next is PDA-JD, another legally oriented site. If you're interested in the palm, it's got news, reviews, columns. They have a long article about document readers. What's interesting about this particular site is we talked about document converters. This is they have an online document converter service that you register for. You can plug in any URL, the name of a file on your computer, and it will automatically convert it either into iSilo or doc format. You can then view a list of documents, preview them, or share them with other people. So it's a very nice service for whenever you're traveling. Next, we're going to talk about outlines in the palm.
This is another add-on program, and here, since we're in Chicago, think of yourself stranded the middle of the afternoon in O'Hare waiting for the thunderstorm to pass. And you will see instantly the utility of this program. It's a standard outliner, the same that you could put on your PC, but it's on your palm. So it thereby becomes accessible anytime you care to use it. The two that in the previous slide that I know of are Brain Forest and Thought Mill. There may well be others sitting around. Let's take an application here. I'm thinking about writing a chapter for a book on alimony, okay? And the first function is it allows you to brainstorm. Rather than sitting there thinking about what should I put where, just write it. Yeah, write it all down. Gets past that writing block that we all have trying to initially organize stuff. Once you've done that, then you can move things around. Here we're going to move the marriage only piece. In West Virginia, there is no common law marriage. The only way you can get alimony is to be married. So that's what that piece is about. And we'll move it in the next slide up to the top of the screen just by holding it down and moving it up. We can also move things within categories by nest back as far as you want to nest. Go ahead. Thereby imposing whatever structure on the material you want to impose. You can also, by using the add button or just the graffiti carriage return stroke, put in an item anywhere you want to into the outline, and then you can close it down and go on to the next one and have your big picture of what you're doing. I find it really useful to be able to take ideas whenever they occur to me for projects and lay them out and then tinker with the way they're configured.
Can I add a thought on outliners? I didn't think of this in time to put this in the thing, but I use an outliner called Arranger from a company called Olive Branch Software, and they don't seem to have updated it much. I'm not sure. I mean, the website's still there. I don't see that it's much is happening, but it's an outliner in every respect, like Marjorie was talking about, and useful in all those ways. But it also lets you create links to your address book and I believe to the date book, the to-do stuff. So you can have, as the middle of your outline, call Fred, and then you can actually create a link to Fred's address in your appointment book. I mean, your whatever it is, it does the same. Okay, anyway, and so that's another option then, is Arranger from Olive Branch Software.
Okay, next is Peanut Press.
There's been a lot in the news about people putting electronic documents up, and Peanut Press is a place where you can get some of these electronic books. There are some that are free and some that you have to pay for. The Bible is one that's free, for example, so if you want to read the Bible with you can go get that. And they put some other small books up there you can get free. Then there's others you have to pay for. There's services linked there that you can pay for. For example, one I note here is that if you don't want just the headlines or short articles from the Wall Street Journal that you get through Avant-Go, but you want to be able to get the complete Wall Street Journal, there's this subscription service, Net Library Business Compendium, that you can get the information from there, and so you can get the complete Wall Street Journal on your palm.
Okay, next is a reminder, hot sync often.
I guess I don't need to say more than that. If you want to be in sync, you have to hot sync often. And I guess maybe, well, no, I won't mention this now, but if you're going to be traveling for a while, you might think about what you're going to do about hot syncing when you're traveling.
Well, you can get a travel cable. You don't need to carry your cradle with you.
Yeah, and I think there
is a section on that later.
Yeah, there's a section later.
Great. Next, for those times you're stuck in the airport, we got games.
I carry a few small games. I'm not really a big game person, but I remember when we were kids, we had this little puzzle thing that you move the numbers around to see if you can get from 1 to 15 back in order. There's one of those you can get from your palm, so that's one I have on mine, some other games. Right now, if you buy a palm, they're giving away at many places this 100 great games that you can get from your palm. As you can say, I haven't even loaded it. I just haven't seen the store and got it. But you can get them on many of these other sites we're going to give you. And I just think if sometimes you're bored, you might as well take a few games with you to play.
Up here we've got SimCity, Hearts, Pac-Man, and Pocket Chess.
I think this costs like $10 or something.
Okay, Memory Management. As I talked about, I don't care how big your palm is, sooner or later you run out of space. There are two software solutions that I'm familiar with. Basically, they take your application and load them into ROM memory. If you've got a Palm 3, you can get an additional about 800K of programs into your ROM memory. Basically, you load up the program, start whichever memory management program you're using, and select which program goes into ROM memory. The thing to note is if you're using a database program, you can move the database program or application program into ROM memory, but you can't move the attached databases. It'll warn you it will crash, and it will. So two of them, we've got Jack Flash and Flash Pro. They're both about $30. Jack Flash, if you're attentive every so often, has a sale for about $20. Next, you've got some travel and entertainment programs.
One of the things that if you're traveling, especially out of the country, and you want to keep track of different time zones, you want to keep track of currency converters, there are a number of different programs you can get that are oriented that way. Right now, the one that I'm using is called WorldMate, and you can see from that first screenshot that you can put right there on your screen at least 5 different time zones. And at one time I was really interested in what was going on in 5 different places, so I had that up there. Most time you won't be. And so you can also, the little buttons at the bottom are different choices. It has like shopping. I like to shop. That's why I have that one on there, because it tells you your size in all these different countries, and so you can know what size to get. It has a currency converter on there, and you choose what currencies you're going to be interested in. A number of different people. Most of the programs like that have those kinds of features, so you just have to find one that's good for you. The Vendigo, I haven't used that.
Vendigo is a free service. It tends to put a file about 400K on your Palm. They're being launched. They launched in New York first. What's nice is it gets you the ratings from the New York Times, and for shop, it has content from iShop, Play. It's got stuff from Club Planet. They are launching in a number of other cities. You can update it whenever you synchronize, and they are branching out to more cities such as San Francisco, Washington, and Boston. The Zagat Guide is published by Landware, and these are a couple of the different screens. So if you remember using Zagats, the special features in the back become search features, and you can specify what food point you're looking for, what cuisine, any special features, and it does a very nice search for you. You can save your restaurants to your personal list, and that's about, I think, $20, and then you pay an attendant fee to unlock each database. They've got the major cities like New York.
They just upgraded it. You get them all now.
Oh, really? I'll have to download the upgrade. Again, this is something that's going to take up a lot of space. Next,
Can we go back to the previous one?
Sure.
What does the Give button on Vendigo do?
That's if you want to share Vendigo with another person. So you get a version of Vendigo with the listings, and then you have the option of upgrading by going to the website. Okay? Okay, next is the currency calculator.
Yeah, this is actually more like the travel programs that we've just been talking about. It's called Currency Calculator because it started that way, but it's actually a general purpose sort of converter, and it also has world times as well. It'll maintain different world clocks and so forth. But it's the best designed sort of program like this I've seen in terms of ease of using and converting anything from centimeters to inches, or as I use it more for currency. You put in all the different currency rates and stuff. You say if something's on the euro base and so on, and it understands how euros work. And then the conversion business. Where's that laser pointer? You just, first of all, you pick the kind of thing you're converting, and there's liquid, there's dry, there's money, there's like 10 different things you can convert, and then you pick which direction you want to go. Do you want to go quarts to pints? And the quart thing is a drop down. Every possible thing is on that list. Every possible thing is on that list. And the arrow, you just tap it and it goes one way or the other way. And so for currency, you might have francs and dollars, and you can go from one to the other, back and forth. And the buttons are big enough that you can press them with your fingers so that you can use it without even pulling the stylus out. And for this kind of program, I looked at all these programs abroad and WorldMate and all of them. I looked at a whole bunch of them, and I thought by far and away this was the best product. So if you need that kind of thing, I think it's a really good program for that purpose.
Okay. Next, we're going to talk about WeSync. This is a free web-based service that lets you share dynamic information. You can share calendars. You can share contact lists. You basically set up a community and invite others to join you. So here we've got a couple, and you can look at their schedule. It does work off the date book. Once you synchronize, you have both calendars. I use it with my husband, and I can edit his calendar, and he can edit mine, and it gets updated on HotSync. You can also select an appointment and select which calendar it goes to. So it could be used for, let's say, a clinic setting. You can also set up public calendars, let's say, for a list of faculty meetings. You can hide your appointments in Daybook and make them private so they would not be synced to the WeSync server. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about spreadsheet models.
It's an uphill battle convincing any legal audience that spreadsheets are worth listening to, but let me take a brief shot at it here. The application I'm going to talk about is the use in negotiation, and I don't know about you, but my math skills are on the fly are not wonderful, and if I have to spend time in a negotiation figuring out what some offer is worth, I'm going to be left in the dust. So, by using a spreadsheet application, and the one I have here is Tiny Sheet, you can enter numbers. That's fairly obvious. You can enter formulae. In this case, what we're doing is a commercial real estate transaction, and we're trying to figure out what the value of an escalator clause would be in terms of the overall rent over a 5-year period. Here, the cost escalator is currently set at 5%, and you can see that the bottom line value of the deal is $510K. We go to the next one. This is just showing you the formula on which that's based, and then go ahead. By changing this to 3, we see automatically what the change in value on the bottom line is. So it's a very useful device while you're in the heat of a negotiation to have modeled your transaction in advance, so that simply by changing that one number, presto changeo, everything else adjusts. There are obviously lots of other applications for spreadsheets for lawyers, time value of money, tax, etc., but negotiation is one of the things I teach, so it's one of the ones I know.
There's also a software program called QuickSheet that lets you edit and store MS Excel files in your Palm. Okay. Software sources.
This is just a list of some of the many places where you can go and get a lot of the software that we've talked about. They'll have a lot of freeware, shareware, etc. there, and so I think all of these are good sources.
MemoWare is a repository of doc and image viewer files. So we've got e-text, they do have some statutes, and a lot of other, that's where I get all my subway maps from, okay? Next, we're going to talk about hardware, all the accessories you can buy once you've gotten a Palm. First up are a couple of keyboards, the Go-type keyboard. This is a...
She's modeling.
Get to walk down amongst the audience.
Yeah.
Well, there's actually quite a few attendees that have keyboards. So.
Yeah. How many people are using a keyboard in here?
This is a 3/4 size keyboard. It doesn't use any batteries. It's for the Palm Professional and up, so you just take the Palm, stick it on top, and you can start typing. You do need to install a driver. The newer versions do come with word processing software. Okay. Huh?
It's also got the Palm function buttons built in.
And those can also be reprogrammed to add whatever function keys you'd like.
The Palm 5 version, I don't know if this is on the Palm 3, you can take the little plug-in from your cradle and plug in for more power, but...
Right, and you can synchronize through the Palm 5 Go-type keyboard, right?
Right.
Okay. Next, Trotter's got a keyboard chart for the Go-type.
If you buy one of these things, when you first do it, you have a little trouble learning some of the shortcut strokes and keyboard strokes. So I created actually a page in Microsoft Word that has all of them explained in a neat way, and there's a very clever way that you can get these on a yellow Post-it note and then stick it right inside the Go-type keyboard. I commend it to you. It's really cute.
He created it.
And that's available from Trotter's website. Next is the Stowaway keyboard. It folds up and it unfolds into a full-size keyboard. Again, no batteries or cables are needed.
And this is one for the Palm 5. It's basically the same thing. Hers is for the Palm 3.
How much does that run?
$99 is what I paid.
Okay.
Did I get cheated? Oh.
Okay, for those of you who went out and bought a Palm 5, you don't need to upgrade all your accessories. You can use what's known as the Palm Dock, which is a converter that lets you use all your Palm 3 accessories. So that's something you should be aware of. Also, if you were in a 2-Palm household and wanted to upgrade it to the 5, you could still hot sync on the Palm 3 cradle and save a serial port. Next is memory management. This is a hardware solution. This is the flash plug. Fits into the port of your Palm, and it gives you 8 additional megabytes of non-volatile storage. The screen there is the software program that comes with the flash plug that lets you move the software into the unit. Okay.
There's a travel kit for the Palm 5. I've seen one also advertised for the Palm 3C. I don't know if there's for others. But in particular for those 2 models, since you don't use batteries, that's one reason that you need the travel kit. So when you get the travel kit, you get a charger that you can take along with you, and you also get a little cable you can use for your hot sinking without having a cradle, and you also get lots of little plugs that you can use in different countries. And so I think it's really handy. You don't have to worry about wherever you are. You can also always be able to recharge your Palm 5, and I think this costs about $50 for the travel kit.
Okay, next we're going to talk about going online. How many are using wireless or have a modem? Okay, I don't have a modem on mine because I'm very wired up at work. You will need a modem, an ISP, an email program, and probably a web program. Avanco can be used also as a web browser. There's a couple of different modems. This is the OmniSky Minstrel 5. It's only available for the Palm 5.
And this is not the wireless. This is just a regular modem, but you can see it just hooks onto the back of the Palm 5.
It's a sled configuration.
And then just has your little connection for your port there. And like I said, if you don't want to take your computer with you, you're going to do Avant-Go and things like that, this modem comes in really handy.
There are currently 2 ISPs which have Palm-friendly format. The first is Go America. They offer wireless services through a variety of devices, the Palm 3, the RIM, the Sierra. They can do it through a laptop. It runs, I believe, around $49.95 a month. Okay. The wireless services do give you Palm-friendly format. They call themselves content aggregators. So the connection speeds usually anywhere from 19.2 to 33.2, but because of their compression, it'll appear to be faster. The other is the OmniSky that has, the Go America's got the Novotel modem, and if you subscribe to the service, you get the modem for free. OmniSky has a Palm 5, is for the Palm 5. I understand they will be delivering for the Palm 3 shortly.
There's another one called Novotel Wireless. This is sort of hard, old-fashioned way of showing it to you, but this was something I tore out of Hemisphere magazine, NovotelWireless.com, and they have the end of their website, it says United, so I don't know if you get a special deal if you go through the United page or what, but that's another source.
Okay, it used to be that handmail and handweb were very well regarded programs for email and web browsing, but those have evidently reached the end-of-line status. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I've been using handmail and handweb, and you can get web pages, of course, if you go to a page that has a lot of graphics, all it does is an image there. But handmail really works well, so I went to their site to get some screenshots, and that's when I found out that they're going out of business. I was a little bit sad about it. I mean, so if you have the program, it's going to work for a while. You're going to not get any upgrades or supports, I guess, after that. But then there are these other sources that are available. If you go to the Palm site, they give you some sources for other email programs. But again, this is a way of not carrying your computer with you and still having access to your email. If you have a modem, you can use one of these email programs.
Question?
Can you use your existing internet service provider that's not specialized?
Yes, you can. Now, one that I have one that I find works really well is the IBM ISP, because they have numbers all around the world. So wherever I go, I can always get into that service.
If you're using AOL, there is an two AOL clients. And if you're a Eudora fan, there is a beta program in release. The freeware giveaway is only good until July 4th, so if you're interested in it, you should go there as soon as possible. Okay? We talked about the Avanco web browser. Another web browser is ProxyWeb. It supports secure web pages, cookies, and authentication. Okay? Next is the Pocket Mail Backflip. If you don't need a web browser, you don't need a modem, this is another solution. This is kind of like those old decouplers where you take the phone and stick it in the rubber cups. Your palm sits on the pocket mail, you dial in to using their toll-free number to the pocket mail servers, and then you can download your email.
You dial in with a regular phone, right? And
Right,
then you mechanically just put the phone up against this thing. Yeah.
You can just preview your message headers, and you go to their website to manage your accounts, and you can also check your POP3 mail accounts. This runs for about $99, and the service itself runs for about $10 a month. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about some resources, places you can go to for further information. The first is David Koch's book, Palm Pilot, The Ultimate Guide. I run a Palm user group in New York, and whenever I meet someone who's just gotten a Palm, I tell them to get this book. It has lots of tips. It's very readable. It comes with a CD with 31 shareware and trial programs, so you don't have to go out to the web and worry about downloading them. This is the second edition. He does have a website. The Palm Pilot O'Reilly website has a user forum. It has a tutorial for new Palm users. It's got his tips and tricks. It's very helpful. The next is the Palm Organizer's Visual Quick Start Guide.
Just another book that I think would be helpful if you're looking for other resources, and of course there's a website for that.
Okay.
And Palm Power magazine. I've actually never seen the magazine, the paper copy, but I guess there's one out there. Anybody ever seen the paper copy? I always look at it online, and that's the website where you can go and get lots of information. And they save their articles, so I guess there's some paper print out there somewhere.
Okay, the other one is Handheld Computing Magazine. This used to be called TAP Magazine. They publish a monthly magazine. They currently have just come out with a buyer's guide. They're going to be doing an enterprise edition aimed at corporate users who have to, or corporate managers who have to implement the Palm. There's also a weekly email with an Adobe file that you can print out, and it gives you breaking news about Palm products and stories. There's also something called Palm User Magazine, which is published out of Britain, but that I think it's about £33. Okay, for more tips, join or start a user group. Online, you might consider going to e-groups. They have a number of public user groups for the Palm. One of them is Palm Wireless, another is Handheld Computing, and that kind of thing. InSync Palm is Palm's email service. You can sign up for it, let them know which Palm you have, what kinds of products or stories you're interested in getting updated about. Palm Gear we've talked about before, and we've also talked about Palm Power. So you can have lots of emails sent with tips and software and news, and Palm Gear, in fact, if you sign up for the news releases, you will be inundated. Okay, are there any questions?
One more, I want to talk about Tip World. Some of you know about Tip World. That's another place where you can sign up for daily tips about Palm and traveling with your computer and things.
One more gadget, the Palm Pix camera. Cute, right? Right onto your machine. And
And as you can see here, it's a lovely picture.
Right now, I don't think it's available yet for the Palm 5. They're going to come out with an adapter for that so you can use it on the Palm 5. I think right now just the Palm 3.
when you check the website, you'll have the opportunity to see a wonderful JPEG photograph of Professor Hardy.
I wanted to show one last gadget too because they made fun of this gadget in PC World last month, and I actually have this gadget, so I want to tell you what they were making fun of. Actually, I got this from Franklin Planner. You know, they still sell all the notebooks, and so their thought was, well, you can take your Palm along with the Franklin Planner by hooking it onto their notebook. And so I got this because, as I said, I'm always getting some kind of organizer, but this was the subject of much ridicule last month in PC World.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Are there any questions? Question?
Have you had any success upgrading memory using a memory chip? I've read that there are chips available for upgrading the Palm 3C, or not 3C, the Palm 3 to another 8 megabytes?
Generally, they caution you saying it'll avoid the warranty. The only memory chip upgrade I've ever done was from the Palm 5000, putting in a 1 megabyte chip. Has anyone else done any memory upgrades that they can talk about?
I did from the Palm Professional, from the Palm Professionals to Palm 3. I did that one when I was using the Palm 3.
Yeah, but that was one that was brought out.
They came out, yeah, that's right.
People that make Flash Pro will do that. You can send them your Palm and they'll upgrade it. It does void the warranty. I haven't done it. But they've been doing it for a year or two at least, and if they're still doing it, I figure it probably works.
Question?
Is there a data
Is there a what? There is an Ethernet cradle.
I had never seen that. I was wondering about that myself.
A network connection?
Yeah.
Ethernet.
No,
port.
Well, Palm just announced a hot-sync server and an Ethernet cradle, so you can read all about that on the website. I've got the press release if you want to see it.
You can hot sync across the network, but it's done in the regular cradle, and the desktop software does it. But that's not what you're talking about, I assume.
Anything else?
Anybody else have a tip they want to share?
Speaking of hot syncing often and taking travel kits, if I have a laptop and a Palm. You can use the IR port. I no longer carry a cable to hot sync. I just hot sync with the IR port, and I just put it down side by side, press the hot sync thing, and it does it over the IR, so you don't have to have any wires at all for that.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Else wants to throw in some tips that they have on their own.